OpenAI just released its most powerful AI model yet, and almost nobody outside a small group of approved partners is allowed to touch it. While most model launches come with a simple rollout to ChatGPT and the API, this one came with something nobody expected. The United States government is directly involved in deciding who gets access, and that detail alone makes this one of the strangest AI releases of the year. The new model is called GPT-5.6, and is not just one model. OpenAI broke away from its old naming system entirely and introduced 3 separate models at once, each named after a celestial body. There is Sol, the flagship and most powerful version. There is Terra, built to be a balanced everyday option. And there is Luna, designed purely for speed and affordability. Together, they represent a completely new tier system that OpenAI plans to keep building on for future releases. But the headline here is not really about how smart these models are. It is about why you cannot use them yet. OpenAI has confirmed that this rollout is happening under direct coordination with the federal government, following weeks of meetings, including conversations between Sam Altman and the White House. The result is a limited preview restricted to around 20 trusted partners, all of whom had to be cleared before getting access. And the interesting part is that OpenAI itself admits this level of restriction caught them off guard. This is not happening in isolation either. Just weeks earlier, Anthropic faced a strikingly similar situation with its own most advanced models. That timing is not a coincidence, and it points to something much bigger happening across the entire AI industry right now. In this video, we are breaking down everything about GPT 5.6. We will look at what Sol, Terra, and Luna actually bring to the table, why the government stepped into this release in the first place, how Sol's new capabilities compare directly against Anthropic's Mythos model, and what this entire situation says about where AI regulation is heading next. Before we get into it, if you're someone who follows what is happening at the edge of AI development, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the breakdowns covering these releases as they happen. A like on this video genuinely helps it reach more people who are trying to keep up with this stuff. And if you know someone who would find this useful, sharing it with them helps the channel grow too. Now let's get into what OpenAI actually built and why getting your hands on it is not as simple as it should be. To understand why this release matters, it helps to start with what actually changed under the hood. For years, OpenAI followed a simple naming pattern, where each new version of GPT was just a higher number than the last. GPT 5.6 breaks that pattern completely. Instead of releasing one single model, OpenAI introduced a family of 3, each carrying its own identity. The number 5.6 still represents the generation, but the names Sol, Terra, and Luna now represent durable capability tiers that OpenAI says can evolve on their own schedule going forward. In other words, this is not just a version bump. It is a new framework for how OpenAI plans to ship models from this point on. Sol sits at the top of that family as the flagship model. It is the most capable of the 3, designed to push the limits of what the company has built so far, and it comes with 2 new features worth paying attention to. The first is a new maximum reasoning effort setting, which gives Sol significantly more time to think through complex problems before responding. The second is something OpenAI is calling Ultra Mode, which moves beyond a single model handling a task alone. Instead, it distributes the work across multiple sub-agents working together, allowing it to accelerate complex multi-step tasks that would normally take a single agent much longer to complete. Terra sits right below Sol as the balanced option, built for everyday work rather than frontier-level tasks. OpenAI describes it as delivering performance competitive with GPT 5.5, while costing roughly half as much to run. That makes it the model most people will likely reach for day-to-day, especially for tasks that do not require Sol's full reasoning power. Then there is Luna, which trades raw capability for speed and affordability. It is positioned as the cheapest model in the lineup, built for high-volume, lower complexity tasks where cost matters more than squeezing out every bit of intelligence. Pricing across the 3 models reflects that same tiering. Sol comes in at $5 for every million input tokens and $30 for every million output tokens. Terra is roughly half that, at $2.50 for input and $15 for output. And Luna comes in well below both, at just $1 for input and $6 for output. OpenAI has also introduced a more predictable caching system alongside this release, including explicit cache breakpoints and a 30-minute minimum cache life, which should make cost planning easier for developers building on top of these models. So at a surface level, this looks like a fairly standard model family launch, with a flagship, a balanced option, and a budget option, each priced accordingly. But the moment you look past the specs and pricing tables, a very different story starts to emerge, one that has very little to do with intelligence benchmarks and everything to do with who is actually allowed to use these models in the first place. This is where the story stops looking like a normal product launch and starts looking like something else entirely. Most AI model releases follow a familiar pattern. A company announces a new model, publishes some benchmarks, and within a short window, that model becomes available to paying customers through an app or an API. GPT-5.6 did not follow that pattern. Instead, OpenAI confirmed that this release is happening as a limited preview, available only to a small group of roughly 20 trusted partners and organizations, all of whom had their participation shared with and effectively cleared by the federal government before they were granted access. According to OpenAI's own statements, this did not happen overnight. The company had been previewing its plans and the model's capabilities with the government for about a month leading up to launch. That included direct engagement at the highest level, with Sam Altman meeting with the White House in early June to discuss the release. This was not a quiet regulatory formality happening in the background. It was an active, ongoing negotiation between one of the most powerful AI companies in the world and the United States government over how and when its most advanced model would be allowed to reach the public. What makes this even more notable is that OpenAI itself admits the outcome was stricter than expected. The company anticipated some level of staggered rollout, but did not expect the government to require approval of individual customers or to limit initial access to such a small number of partners. That is a meaningful admission. It suggests that even a company as deeply connected to Washington as OpenAI was surprised by how far this process went. In its own announcement, OpenAI was careful to frame this as a temporary measure rather than a new standard. The company stated plainly that it does not believe this kind of government access process should become the long-term default, arguing that it risks keeping powerful tools out of the hands of developers, enterprises, cyber defenders, and global partners who genuinely need them. According to OpenAI, the reason they're accepting this short-term limitation is because they see it as the fastest realistic path toward broader availability in the coming weeks, while working alongside the current administration to build out a more repeatable framework, specifically tied to a cyber-focused executive order. And here's the part that turns this from an isolated OpenAI story into something much bigger. This is not happening to OpenAI alone. Just weeks before this announcement, Anthropic faced a strikingly similar situation with its own most advanced model tier. That timing is not a coincidence. It strongly suggests that the United States government has quietly begun applying this same kind of pre-release review process across multiple frontier AI labs at once, not just one. Taken together, this points to a much larger shift happening right now across the entire AI industry. The era of frontier labs simply announcing a model and shipping it to the public on their own timeline appears to be ending, at least with the most capable systems being built today. And once you understand why that shift is happening, the next question becomes obvious. What exactly is GPT 5.6 capable of that made this level of government involvement feel necessary in the first place? To understand why this level of government involvement happened, it helps to look directly at what Sol is actually capable of, because the capability jump here is not subtle. OpenAI built Sol with a new maximum reasoning effort setting, designed to give the model significantly more time to think through complex problems before responding. Alongside that, the new Ultra mode allows Sol to break a complex task apart and distribute pieces of it across multiple subagents working in coordination, rather than relying on a single model to push through everything alone. Together, these two additions represent a meaningful step up in how much independent, long-horizon work this model can handle without direct human guidance at every step. That step up in capability is most visible in three specific areas that OpenAI chose to highlight. The first is coding, where Sol set a new state-of-the-art result on Terminal Bench 2.1, a benchmark that tests real-world command line workflows requiring planning, iteration, and coordination across multiple tools. The second is biology, where Sol showed broad improvements on GeneBench version 1, a benchmark built around long-horizon genomics and quantitative biology analysis, and it achieved those stronger results while using fewer tokens than its predecessor. The third, and arguably the most important for this story, is cybersecurity. OpenAI describes Sol as its most capable model yet for cybersecurity work, specifically for long-horizon tasks like vulnerability research and exploitation. On a benchmark called ExploitBench, Sol performed competitively with Anthropic's Mythos preview model, while using only about a third of the output tokens to get there. On a separate benchmark called ExploitGym, built in collaboration with researchers at UC Berkeley, Sol, Terra, and Luna, all showed strong improvements in cyber capability as their reasoning effort increased. This is not a small footnote. This is OpenAI directly acknowledging that its new model family has crossed into territory that requires a different level of caution than previous releases. That caution becomes even clearer once you look at how OpenAI classifies these models internally. Under the company's own Preparedness framework, Sol, Terra, and Luna are all rated as high capability in two categories, cybersecurity and biological or chemical risk. None of them cross the threshold for the self-improvement category, but high capability ratings in cyber and bio are serious classifications on their own. To put a number on how seriously OpenAI is treating this, the company specifically tested Sol against real-world software like Chromium and Firefox, where it successfully identified bugs in the underlying building blocks of an exploit, but did not autonomously produce a complete, functional exploit chain under the conditions it was tested in. That distinction matters a lot. Sol crossed close enough to a meaningful cybersecurity threshold that OpenAI felt the need to build out what it calls a layered safeguard stack specifically for this release. That stack starts with protections trained directly into the model itself, designed to refuse certain categories of requests, even when someone tries to disguise their intent. On top of that sits a real-time classifier system that actively monitors output as it is being generated, capable of pausing a response mid-generation, so a more advanced reasoning model can review the context before anything reaches the user. Beyond that, there is account-level review, where flagged activity can trigger a broader look across someone's previous conversations, helping the system tell the difference between legitimate dual-use security work and genuinely harmful intent. OpenAI also revealed just how much effort went into pressure testing this safeguard system before release. The company dedicated more than 700,100 equivalent GPU hours specifically toward automated red teaming, aimed at uncovering universal jailbreaks, meaning attacks that could work broadly across many different prompts rather than just one narrow scenario. That number alone tells you how seriously OpenAI is treating the risk profile of this particular release compared to anything that came before it. Once you put all of this together, the government's involvement starts to make a lot more sense. This is not a routine model update. It is a release that OpenAI itself has classified as having meaningfully advanced offensive cybersecurity capability, paired with the most extensive safety testing the company has ever conducted for a single launch. And that combination is exactly the kind of situation that tends to draw direct government attention before a model reaches the wider public. So where does all of this actually leave us? Right now, GPT-5.6 exists in a strange in-between state. It is real, it is benchmarked, and it is already running inside a small group of approved partner organizations, but is not yet something the average developer or chatgpt user can simply open up and start using. OpenAI has said it plans to make Sol, Terra, and Luna more broadly available in the coming weeks, but given how this preview period unfolded, with restrictions tighter than even OpenAI itself expected, it is worth staying cautious about exactly how quickly that timeline plays out in practice. One detail worth watching closely is OpenAI's upcoming partnership with Cerberus, which is set to bring Sol to that hardware platform starting in July, with response speeds reaching up to 750 tokens per second. That is an extremely fast number for a model of this capability level. And if it holds up once access expands, it could meaningfully change what real-time, large-scale agentic workflows are capable of, especially for tasks that depend on rapid back-and-forth reasoning rather than a single long response. For now, though, that access is also starting out limited to select customers, continuing the same pattern of staggered, carefully controlled rollout that has defined this entire release. Stepping back from the specifics of this one model, the bigger story here is really about Precedent. For the first time, we are seeing a major US AI lab openly confirm that its most advanced model required direct government coordination before reaching the public. And we are seeing that happen almost immediately after a strikingly similar situation played out with Anthropic's own frontier model tier. That is not a coincidence, and it strongly suggests that some form of pre-release government review is quietly becoming a standard part of how the most capable AI systems get deployed going forward, at least for now, even if neither company wants that to become permanent. Whatever happens next, one thing is already clear. The way frontier AI models reach the public is changing in real time, right in front of us. And GPT 5.6 is the clearest example yet of what that new process actually looks like in practice. So let's bring everything we covered back together. OpenAI released GPT 5.6 as a completely new three-model family, with Sol, Terra, and Luna replacing the old single model naming system, each one built around a different balance of intelligence, speed, and cost. That alone would normally be the whole story for a model launch like this. But the real headline here turned out to be something nobody was expecting: a direct, confirmed coordination between OpenAI and the United States government over who gets access to this model and when, with the rollout ending up far more restricted than even OpenAI itself anticipated going in. We also walked through exactly why that level of caution exists in the first place. Sol's jump in cybersecurity capability, its high capability classification for both cyber and biological risk, and its performance against Chromium and Firefox in testing all point to a model that crossed into genuinely sensitive territory, which is exactly what pushed OpenAI to build out the most extensive safeguard system it has ever shipped alongside a single release. And when we put that performance directly next to Claude Mythos on benchmarks like ExploitBench and ExploitGym, Sol held its own while doing it more efficiently, which says a lot about how tight this race between the top labs has actually become. What makes this entire situation bigger than just one model release is the pattern behind it. This is now the second time in a very short window the Frontier Lab has confirmed direct government involvement before shipping its most advanced system, and that is not something we have seen happen at this scale before. Whether this becomes the new normal or stays a short-term phase while regulatory frameworks catch up is still genuinely unclear, and that uncertainty alone makes this a story worth continuing to follow closely. If this breakdown helped you actually understand what is going on with GPT 5.6 and why it matters, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more people trying to make sense of all this. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is a good time, because we will be covering exactly what happens once this model moves out of preview and into a full public release, along with whatever Anthropic's response to all of this ends up looking like. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.